All right. A very lovely evening to you. Welcome to another time to learn, another time to get inspired for action. I'm super excited. I do not know why I'm super excited today. And I know that it's because there's a reason for it. And you know the reason? I've got a special person right here. And the person is none other than, I'm going to keep it as a suspense right now because I want the person that we actually do the interview to do the proper introductions. But I am here to just set the atmosphere, to just set the mood. My beautiful name is Oludolapo Adewale, and what I do here is to just help people to get the better version of themselves. I'm talking about girls in the media space, young girls coming up, girls already in the media space trying to learn a thing or two. And sometimes the world can be confusing, but we are here to help you get better. You know, in our career, we face different challenges, and sometimes we just need that shoulder to lean on. We just need that person to ask a few questions and, just get better along the way. Learning, they say, never ends. And that's why we're having this webinar today. All right, the person that would do the introductions, the person that we anchor today's program is Priska Adeyemo. I saw her right now, and all of a sudden, I can't see her again. You know what they say in presentation, the show must go on. So I'll just wait for 30 seconds. Hopefully the connection is going to come back and I'll see my lovely Priska again on the call. Well, in the meantime, while I wait for Priska, let me see YouTube. Let me see if people are joining already on YouTube. If you're joining, just put your favorite emoji right there. Oh, Priska is back. Hallelujah. So Priska, I'm going to mute right now and give you the full control. Please take over and anchor tonight's program or tonight's webinar. I'm saying program like we're on the radio. Priska, are you ready? Can you hear me? I need you to confirm if you can hear me. If you're live on our YouTube page, can you do something? Put your favorite emoji on the YouTube page. Let me see that you're active there. Lizzie told me that she came first on the YouTube page. That's Lizzie. And she says, is there a gift? Don't worry. I've got something packaged for the first time or the first comers on the YouTube page. It's a nicely packed delicacy that we have in Nigeria, and it is called Kuli Kuli and Ekpa. All right, that's the gift we have for our first timers. I'm just joking. Don't take me seriously. Priska, are you ready? Oh, we've got 11 people watching already. So thank you to everyone watching. Where are you watching from? We'd like to also know. Put your favorite emoji in the chat room and we'll like to acknowledge you. I can see Oluyemi Fedolapo says, good to be here again. Thank you. Abigail Brown says, I'm here. Osemudiame Pio says, I'm excited to learn. And she adds an emoji of dancing there. Okay, who again? Spencer West says, she gives us the love emoji. Thank you. Onyolua is also here. Bab TV is also here. I've got lovely people right here. Thank you so much for joining. And I'm super excited that all of you are ready to learn and reinforce your learnings. We could know one or two things before now, and then you hear it again, and that light bulb moment comes up and you're inspired to just take action. And I think that's why we have this webinar today. Priska, can you confirm that you can hear me and you're good to go? Can you hear me? Oh, it looks like we have the radio, the dreaded radio silence right now. Okay, don't worry. I think I will have to continue. And when Priska starts or joins officially again, she will take over from me. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to bring up our guest today, but first, we'd like to read his profile. So give me some seconds while I bring up the profile of our guest tonight. Yes, yes, yes. I got a message right now, and that is spot on from a presenter. You know, a presenter who says the show must go on. So, our guest tonight is an award-winning Nigerian broadcast journalist, a media innovator, and television anchor renowned for his articulate delivery and insightful reporting. He is a prominent face on Channels Television, Africa's leading news network. Affectionately is dubbed the gentleman of the press. Kayode Okikiolu is our guest tonight and is celebrated for his creative approach to journalism. Notably, through viral videos, you should see his videos. If you've not started following him, you should do that today. And his viral videos that distill complex news stories into digestible formats, enhancing public understanding and engagement. In March 2025, Kayode was appointed as a Goodwill Ambassador for the World Literacy Foundation, where he leverages his platform to advocate for global literacy and education. He has also won and been nominated for several awards in broadcasting to leadership categories. Before television, Okikiolu built his media foundation in radio, working with the Beat 97.9 FM and Salt 98.1 FM. Academically, he holds a degree in psychology from the University of Ibadan and is an associate of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management. Ladies and a few gentlemen that we might have here, a round of applause for our guest tonight, Mr. Kayode Okikiolu. As it turns out, his video. Smiling, smiling, smiling.
Good evening,
Good
ma'am.
evening.
Thank you so much. Wow, I feel so good. Thank you for that very kind introduction, and I'm honored to join you today.
Thank you so much. And I dare say, thank you so much, Sir K. You know, there's a story
Thank you.
behind the Sir K.
Yeah,
We'll keep the story on the wraps for now. Thank you so much. I do not take it for granted that you honored this invitation.
thank
All
you.
right. So once Priska is ready, just send me a message, then I'll hand over. Let me start from the basics. Kayode, let's hear from your profile. We could hear how the stations that you worked with and the station you're currently working with. Give us a sneak peek into how you started the media. Did media find you, or did you find the media?
That's a very, very interesting question. But let me again say thank you for having me. I'm really honored by this invitation and by the opportunity to share my experience. So I want to thank Media Girls Nigeria for this platform, and I must commend the work you're doing. I think it's brilliant. It's really needed. So thank you very much. And to everyone joining, thank you for joining. I hope for the next few minutes we can share a lot. I can learn from you. Perhaps you learn from me as well. Did media choose me or did I choose media? I think it chose me first. And I'll explain. It chose me first, then I had to choose it. Or did I choose it and it had to choose me? I'll explain basically. You can decide. I didn't come into media or broadcasting specifically through the conventional means. So nobody in my family worked in radio or television in that sense. I didn't study broadcasting or journalism in school, as you can tell from my profile. Uh, I didn't like watching the news or reading the newspaper. I know a lot of people would say, well, when I was young, I'd watch the news. I'll stay with NTA News at 10, or was it News at 9, or News Night. I didn't quite like that. In fact, once they switched to news in my family, when we eventually got a TV, right? Naturally, you just sleep off because it was like a sleeping medication. So I didn't like the news. I didn't like reading newspaper. I'd rather read a comic or just stare into space. I didn't join the press club in school either. You know, a lot of people joined the press club when they were in university or even secondary school. No, I didn't do all of that. So I didn't come in through the conventional means. I sort of created my own door and came in. You know, God gave me a voice and He gave me a curious mind. And I must say, He gave me a lot of grace, favor. So I had to make do with it. So it started from people saying, I really love your voice, right? And I thought, okay, maybe there's something about this voice. And in 2009, thereabouts, I was introduced to an editing software. That's a digital audio workstation, DAW or DAW, as they call it. It was called Cool Edit then. Now, for those who may be wondering what is Cool Edit, Cool Edit is what is now known as Adobe Audition. Adobe bought it over. So Cool Edit was what we used to use then to edit our audio. Yeah, I can see you're shaking your head. So piece together things. So I was introduced to it. My brother does music a lot. So we had Fruity Loops on that big desktop computer in the house, which was his. He would bring it back from school, then take it back again. It was really hectic, but it was good that he gave me that opportunity. So there was Fruity Loops on that computer. There was Cool Edit. I think there was Pinnacle. Pinnacle was for video editing as well. So that's where I started from. And then I got an opportunity to start doing that in church. So we had this podcast-like thing in church, Caris Family International Church, Ibadan, where during service we'll have either announcements or just something creative, right? To be played for 2, 3 minutes during service. So it fell on me and I had to just do it. So I would say that that was how I started uh, broadcasting journalism. So maybe it chose me or it chose it. I think both and maybe one of both. Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic story. Thank you for sharing. And in between that introduction, you said something about volunteering. When you started doing it on your own, you also volunteered in church. I think I caught something there. So I think media girls, you should start volunteering. That's how you sharpen those skills. I can imagine when you mentioned Cool Edit, it just took me back to Fruity Loops days. It was just amazing. I remember my first track too that I recorded was on Fruity Loops, and oh my goodness, it just brought back memories as well. I remember my first rap, my first recorded rap. It was on that as well. Well done. Okay, I will have to say this one more time. Hopefully it works. So our guest, our interviewer, who is supposed to be Priska. Priska is one of the media girls, so I hope she's ready now. She told me she's ready. Oh, fantastic. Hallelujah. So Priska, are you ready? Please.
Yes, I'm ready.
Thank you.
I hope
All
you can
right.
hear
So
me.
yes, we can.
Oh, great, great. All right. Thank you so much, Sake.
Thank you, Priska.
Thank you
It's good to have you
for
in this.
honoring us. We really appreciate. Thank you. All right. So, another question I would like to ask is your first experience on radio and TV. Can you quickly share with us? How did you feel when you spoke to the mic? Will you sound like me now? I was practically shaking my first time. So I would like to know how your first time was when you spoke on radio or TV.
Ah, it's funny now that you mention it. Um, maybe I'm not one for first times, but I'll share the experience with you. I think before my first time, I had read about Larry King, right? And Larry King explained his first time on radio, how, the mic was on. He wasn't meant to be the one on air anyway, but I think the OAP, or as they called it in the continuity announcer, was not available. So they told Larry King to take over. I think when he turned the mic on, he just froze. He didn't say anything. And the manager had to come in and say, well, this is broadcasting. You have to talk. So I think I had read that. So I told myself, you know what? Do not be a Larry King on your first day and first time. So I'm not sure I had any, I wouldn't call it, I didn't have a remarkable experience in the sense that, no, I wouldn't say remarkable. I think the term would be I didn't have any mishap. I didn't have any incident on first time on radio because I think I had prepared towards that. So my first time was smooth because there was a lot of preparation. And maybe that's something we'll talk about. Really, what goes on air is a fallout or function of everything that has happened backstage, all of your preparation, your production, and the rest. So when you appear on air and you say hello and welcome, and people think, wow, you were born like this, you woke up like this, you're just a natural. Well, yes, partly, but it's also as a result of what you've done behind the scenes. So I'll say my first time on radio was smooth, thankfully. First time on television. Now, there's a story behind that. And my brother sent me the picture of my first time on TV, I think early this year or last year. And the night before when I heard that I would take the news, when I saw my name on the roster, right? Um, I went to the barber shop to get a haircut. Once you want to be on air, you want to look your best, right? So I went to the barber shop to get a haircut. And for some reason, the barber, it was meant to just trim my hair because I don't do low cuts. I like to keep the hair. But for some reason, he just cut it all the way down. Just the first, cut was zoom. And for like a few minutes, I just froze. Like, God, this guy has messed up my career. How would I go on air with, just one patch low and stuff? But it was at that moment that I told myself, and thank God for God who gave me the inspiration that, you know what, it's not about you. You've prepared, you've worked hard for this. So whatever the case is with your haircut, just go there and rock it. So what I told him was, you know what, just cut everything. So my first time on air was with a low cut. I still have a picture, and my tie was like a cutlass. So I would say my first time on TV was more of a battle than radio because my haircut wasn't the perfect haircut. My tie also wasn't like the perfect tie. I don't wear cutlass ties anymore. So that was more of an incident for me. So yeah, here I am. I survived, right? So those are my first experiences. First,
That's great. So I'd also like you to tell us what lessons did you learn? What was a key lesson you learned that okay, maybe this time I should do better this way. What was the lesson you learned from that first time experience?
okay. First with the barber, my first lesson is don't go back to this barber, right? So it won't mess your hair up again. But guess what? I actually went back to him because I figured, hey, give him another chance. He probably was nervous himself, or he was just, something happened. So that was my first lesson, really. Always give yourself and others a second chance. I know it's maybe unrelated, and maybe it is as well, because at times you probably mess up on air first time. Imagine Larry King messed up first time. Just imagine for a moment that he chose not to go back on air. They would have missed out on the amazing Larry King, interview. So I think that's my first lesson. Give yourself a second chance. And the second chance to give yourself another just keep giving yourself a second chance every time, right? Because learning never stops. That's one. Two is always be prepared. Whatever happens, the show must go on. So it's a mix of both. Prepare a lot, so much so that when you're doing the thing, you're not second guessing yourself. Because we second guess ourselves a lot because we feel that imposter syndrome, like, am I meant to be here? But if you've prepared, if you've simulated that moment in your head, you've gone through your script, you've gone through your lines, you've gone through even worst case scenarios. There are times I go through worst case scenarios. What if my table just falls? What if the roof falls? What if my chair just, you go through those worst case scenarios and you just prepare in some way in your mind that what if. So I think preparation is very important. I'll keep talking about this. Preparation is really important. Like really just enjoy the moment. I don't know if it's something we tell ourselves a lot to enjoy the moment. It's important to enjoy the moment. Just really breathe in that moment and live your best life in that moment. So those are some of the lessons I learned from my first experience. And always remember that that is not your best yet, right? That moment is not your best. So just give yourself that second chance, as I said, that, you know, I'm going to get better. What I'm seeing right now is certainly not my best. Okay, Priska, I'm done with the lessons I learned. I just give four
Sorry
because of
about
time.
the network.
It's okay.
Apologies for that. I'd like to please confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Okay, I think I might need to come in. Priska's network is fluctuating at the moment. Okay. Still on that question, let me turn on my video so they can see me. Still on that flow, rather. Now, let's talk about the art of presentation. You've told us valuable lessons from that. I was typing on the YouTube channel right now. You talked about preparation. You talked about, giving people a second chance, going again, giving yourself a second chance. Now, let's stick with preparation. How do I prepare for my next show on television, for my next show on radio, and be that person, that presenter that stands out, that is not just going with a bandwagon? How do I prepare and prepare well? That's my question to you.
Oh,
For
yeah.
instance, in addition, for instance, I know you're preparing for a show tomorrow. How are you preparing? So give us a sneak peek into what it means to be an excellent presenter.
Thank you for that. I think that's the million-dollar question for all of us. Again, it's still a work in progress or in process, as the case may be for me. I like to always think I'm not there yet. So every day is like a learning opportunity. But how do you prepare? Obviously, first you need to know what you're preparing for, right? And that's why there is a lineup, as the case may be. It could be your script. You could be doing the news. You could be doing a program or a show on radio or TV. It could be a social media shoot, right? Maybe you're planning to do content. But the point is, decide, what am I doing? That's very important. And why am I doing it? I think I've gone past that already. So I already have a show. I do a breakfast show, the morning brief, every weekday. I have my content. Then I have other things I do. For example, tomorrow I'm attending a media exchange with the Speaker of the House of Reps and other new media personalities in Nigeria. So you have a sense of, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Then you begin to break it down. So I have, hypothetically speaking now, I have the president. I'm going to interview the president of Nigeria. Because as a journalist, you're not there for yourself, right? I don't have that job because of me. I have that job because of millions of Nigerians who need to be educated. Well, I don't know, entertained sometimes, or more educated, informed. Yeah, let's put entertainment there, just so we capture everything. So Nigerians need that information. They need you to break through all of the big headlines and stuff. And sorry, excuse me. They need to break through all of those big headlines and give them insights, give them the right information. So first, I need to know, what do Nigerians really want to know? What do they want? That way, I I get to go on social media a lot. I run it by people. It's just like you're doing some sort of research, you're gathering data. What do Nigerians want? Okay, people want to hear about the economy, or there's a breaking story about inflation. So Nigerians want to know, hey, this inflation is biting hard to my income, my disposable income. What is the president doing about it? I don't want to be asking the president about his shoe or his outfit when Nigerians want to know about the economy. So it's important to always know what the people want, know what is trending in that sense, what is most important. And then you can now fashion your story or your questioning or your content in that light. Also, research comes in there. And I think that's like the bulk of our work. I don't just want to ask the president, what are you doing about inflation? I want to ask the president, well, this is what you promised when you were coming into power. Because it's always good to have reference. As journalists, we must be very specific. We're not just, with all due respect, we're not everyday people. We're meant to be clinical so that once you're done with our show, you're better informed. We equip people with information to help them make informed decisions. So just give them clarity. So I say, President, on the 5th of December 2022, when you were campaigning in Lokoja, in fact, right beside you was, it shows that you've done your work. Even President will sit up, well, that this is not the everyday journalist. But you don't have to go all that, you sat beside this person. Just say on the 5th of this, you were campaigning here. You made the statement by by the first year of my administration, or by the first 2 months, I'm going to bring inflation down to 15%. But Mr. President, inflation is far from that. Currently today, it is at 20 something percent. What is going on? I mean, sometimes you might want to push harder, but this is not why we're here. I'm not going to talk about the harder part.
Like some people will say that you actually drill. I
Yeah.
was watching a comment on YouTube some days ago. I was researching about you, just as you said, research right now. I was
Oh, we
watching
do.
one of your shows, and on the YouTube channel, someone said, I like how this presenter was drilling the guest. I think you had a security personnel at that time, and the person said you were drilling your guest, like you wanted to get more information, just more than the surface information. Now, sticking with researching, you've answered part of my next question. A, one of the qualities of a good presenter should be that that person can do research, can prepare well. What are other qualities, or is it like follow come, or is it like we go somewhere and they say receive the qualities of a good presenter? So what are other qualities that we should look out for? Are there specific places that media girls or media boys can learn these skills from and imbibe them?
Absolutely. And it's funny, I'm on this platform with media girls. I've always said it that I have a beautiful wife. I have two beautiful daughters. I'm surrounded by women. In fact, we have a dog who's also female. So almost everything about me is women, right? So this is just perfect. Yes, absolutely. Now there are different routes to the market. It's a famous saying where I'm from, on Waja, they say. But the point is you have to get to the market, right? And you have to do business. So for me, as I said earlier on, I didn't come in through the conventional means, but that's not to say I didn't do the hard work of learning, either learning from people, learning myself by doing, here we go again, research, by reading, by watching, by even testing myself, by also getting feedback. So you create that feedback loop. So for some people, you might go to the broadcasting school, or you might study it in school. But the point is you have to put in the work. Now, what do you need? Obviously, you need to be very confident in yourself. It's something we need to talk about a lot now. It's not pride, it's just being confident in yourself. First, appreciate that you are special. There's nobody like you. And I'm not even trying to be cliche right now. There is nobody like you. You are very special. So it starts from there. Believe in your abilities. Now, if there are areas you need to develop, like your speech, pronunciation, your enunciation, your carriage, your dressing. Yes, there's room for all of that. All of those things come together, but it starts with you knowing that, okay, this is Kayode. Who is Kayode? Kayode has a great voice. Kayode has a curious mind. That's what sets him apart. Kayode is a creative person. For you, it could be, well, I love indigenous languages, or I love to do investigative pieces, or I just like to dress well, look my best. Identify who you are, and really build on that. You need to have people that you learn from as well, people who can tell you, well, you've not done this right. For me, a lot of people, my chairman, Dr. John Momo, well, I look forward, it's so funny, I actually look forward to him correcting me, and he takes time to really take you through the ropes. So once I see his call, or once he makes a comment, I'm excited. It's quite weird. Once he's calling me, I'm like, yeah, it's a learning moment, because those are things you probably will never be able to afford or pay for. You won't get it in Harvard or any business school. So those are things you should actually uh, put in place in your life. Some of them you have to approach. Also respect boundaries, but make sure that there is that person you look up to who's able to walk you through, because you need that, someone to hold your hands, no strings attached, right? Um, you also need to benchmark yourself. So what kind of person do you want to be? Do you want to be a Kayode Okikiolu? Do you want to be like a Richard Quest? Now, you're not going to replicate that person, but you're looking at someone who's doing it well. You're looking at how the person is doing it, that you can imbibe it right into what you're doing. So the person is creative, person speaks well. Basically, just benchmark. And the goal is to actually surpass that benchmark while you're learning. So I think that's something you also need to do, but also read a lot, get a lot of knowledge. I mean, yes, it's good to look pretty, to speak well, but it's good to also have a lot of knowledge. I'm going to stop there so I don't go on and on. But perhaps other things I'll mention as we go on.
Thank you. Thank you. If, in fact, when you said reading well, for you to know the point you made earlier, for you to know what a particular governor or legislator said years ago and the situation surrounding it, it means the person took time to read. And I think that's one quality that as presenters, we should pay attention to, read, going in between the lines, the details, paying attention to details. I think that would be the word to just capture that. I have another question for you. Okay, and the question is simply the techniques that one should employ to be that fine presenter. Our topic today is the fine art of presentation on radio or TV. So what are the techniques we should employ as presenters to get the attention of our audience? In public speaking, I teach hook. I teach grabbing the attention of your audience. But this time around, we're talking about radio and TV. Are there techniques that we should employ? Please blow us away.
Okay. That's a lot of pressure on me right now, but I'll try my best. Absolutely. And I'll start from being humane. I will explain. You're by default a people person, right? And maybe that's what psychology and being a last born has helped me to learn, right? You have to genuinely love and respect people, have humanity at your core, be humane. That's why I said that. So you have to think about how people are receiving the news, because that's what it's like your market and it's immediate feedback. Once people don't like what they see, they turn off or they switch the channel. So you must actually be a people person in that, like for real. So think about how people are receiving the news or maybe receiving the news or want to receive the news because you have an audience. You're not just there. Gone are the days where the anchor is king in that sense. Whatever you throw out, that it will take. Gone are the days where you only had one TV channel. So people didn't have a choice. They'll just watch. But in fact, beyond TV, there's social media. So there's a lot of options for people, right? So you need to actually be interested in those people because at the end of the day, I also like to see journalism as market, as a product. Like I like to see it that way. It helps me to simplify it. So you are able to think about your market, your consumers, and that way you don't lose them. So think about how they want to receive it, the news. That way you can connect with your script, the way you write your script. So you know your audience. Your audience is maybe young people. So you have a way to script because you know that that's how young people understand things. I'm not saying you should water down journalism, but instead of using big terms, for example, you break it down. You're conversational. That helps you with your posturing as well because you have a sense that, oh, there are people watching me. It sounds a bit simplistic, but it's very important. It also helps you to determine your dressing. So you're able to dress well because you know that there are people, we're not robots. The people are not robots. It also helps you to shape your emotions, how you carry the news, because you're actually like a vessel. So you're carrying the news to them and you have to prepare the vessel well. It helps you in enunciation. So have people at the center of your core. That is one. Let me see if this is a good time to mention this. Find a good anchor. And you're wondering, but I'm the anchor. Which one is the anchor again? You need to find a good anchor. For me, God is my anchor. And you need that because I always go back to him when I'm done or before I start. When I feel I've messed up, I go back to him. He comforts me. When I'm in cloud nine, you're like, yeah, I just did something great. Just did an interview and you are trending. No, go back to my anchor. who sometimes is my wife. Most times, God uses my wife to bring me down. Like, oh God, come down from that, whatever you're climbing. Whether it's a high horse or airplane, come down. Having an anchor is good. It's what you build into your system that it helps you to just keep getting better. And I want to talk about excellence quickly because it's tied to that. Strive for excellence. I'm being a bit general because I know everybody has their peculiar areas, some radio, some TV, some is just independent. For some people, it's in your house. You're the anchor in the house, in the school, right? So excellence is not a destination. It's not a score. It's a process. It's a journey of exceeding what you did yesterday. It may sound exhausting because the human mind wants to get to that point where you retire and rest, but that is death. We know that that is death, right? So the moment you stop growing mentally, physically, spiritually, the moment there's nothing to fight for or live for, you lose interest. So there should always be excellence at the core. So I read the news today, I watch it back, and I'm like, you know what? I need to do better. The way I said those words, the way I started my paragraph, I need to do better. The way I stood, I need to do better. The way I dressed, I need to do better. That is at the core of it, excellence, always exceeding what you did, not just yesterday, a minute ago. Thank you. I think you're muted. I thought it was me, but I think you are muted.
Oh my goodness. And I've been speaking so much grammar since.
Okay.
Okay. Fantastic, fantastic submission. I was saying that being a better version of yourself is very important. And you did mention something about listening to yourself again. And I've got people in my journey, in my career, who tell me, I don't like listening to myself. And I wonder, if you don't listen to yourself, how are you going to get better? How are you going to get feedback on maybe a word you mispronounced or how you did, how you're going to get better? But, different people, different strokes for different folks. So very important point. Now let's talk about you. You do digital content. How can someone that is on radio and TV explore digital tools and still maximize his or her potential in the media space? Now I want to see a nexus between radio, TV, and the digital world because a lot more of our content are going on the digital space. So please run us through how you're effectively managing both platforms.
Thank you very much. I think we may have all made a mistake when we saw digital platform as different from the traditional platform in that sense. I think that was a big mistake I'll say we all made at the start. It's actually the same thing. It's just I don't even want to say different. It's the same thing. It's really the same thing. In fact, the new media or social media learned or basically just took everything from the traditional media and they just say, you know what, let's put it on a different device, which again, I don't want to see it as different. Everything is the same thing. So that's why you see Instagram's logo, for example, is a camera, still the old school camera design, basically everything is the same. It's just some sort of reinvention. So I want to say that we should actually be the ones making waves more on digital media. But because we hesitated, we saw it as, oh, it's a different platform. So it gave others a first mover advantage. So you had people who wanted to be on traditional media so badly, but they couldn't get in. They saw social media and that became their own output. And that's why you find a lot of them doing great stuff. But it's never too late in the day. First, recognize that you can really play in both sectors. Again, I don't want to see them as separate, but let me just use that. You can play well both on traditional and social media. And how? Just basically tweak your content, right? So on traditional media, this is the view. People view TV in a landscape mode, while on the social media, people view it portrait mode. So I told myself, if I create content like this for this, all it will just do is take a little part of the screen. If you can see what I'm illustrating, it takes a little part of the screen, and that's wastage. It doesn't even immerse the audience, which is why I create my video first portrait. If anybody's shooting me, even if you're using a digital camera, I tell you, sorry, you have to do portrait. And I don't want you to shoot landscape and then crop it. It's going to, pixel it or lose the quality. So that's the first thing. Create content specifically, having in mind the digital audience, because they are actually big deal. You see some data showing that majority of people who read the news, watch YouTube, watch it on their mobile devices. So first, create content specifically for them in terms of the aspect ratio and stuff. And then in terms of the content itself, right? Because people don't sit down and just watch their phone the same way they sit down and have all the time to watch TV. You have to give them something that is bite-sized, something that is tiny enough for them to consume and move on, almost like fast food. And that's why I started doing the Gentleman of the Press breaking news down series. So I take all of the big news and just squeeze it into 1 minute, 2 minutes, and just deliver it. Again, I am out of the studio. I don't do my content in studio. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to do, I don't want you to see me in the same studio you see me on TV. TV has its own value, very huge value. But again, we have to capture the social media. So I said, I'm going to leave the studio. So that's why I'm on the street sometimes. I'm in the middle of water. I'm on my bike. Again, look for the hooks, as you said, they're different hooks. It could be my voice, it could be my scooter, it could be my jacket. So I have an identity as well. So it's almost like showbiz, like you're a movie star, which we all are. It's actually showbiz, except it's like serious showbiz. We're doing serious business. So really approach it that way, but know that you have all it takes to dominate social media. It's never too late, but make sure you respect them. And that's why it's good to have people at your core, create content specifically for them. And make sure that even you will enjoy watching yourself. I don't know if you get what I mean.
Definitely. And your suit, you just talked about your suit. It just gives me the vibe of James Bond, 007. Reporting for duty. Well done, sir. Well done, Kayode. Thank you so much for those nuggets. I've got questions on YouTube. If you've got questions, now is a good time to drop your questions so that Kayode can answer them before we call it a beautiful night today. There's a question on YouTube. Hope Sado is saying, how did you get your big break to Channels Television? I am sure you will have been asked that question over and over again. So you're going to answer it tonight. Let's see. I think we should answer that first while I scout for more questions.
Okay. How did I get my big break? Well, it's funny actually. I didn't know somebody who knew somebody. I didn't know anybody. I didn't network. Some say put yourself in those rooms where the people are there so you can. It works for some people, but that's why it's important to know who you are and know what works for you. How did I do it? So I left radio, right? After some time, I left radio and promised myself that I wasn't going to do anything related to radio, talk more TV or news, serious news. I lie. That's what I told myself. So I continued doing music. I was doing some, media works and stuff because I could do a lot of things. And then someone told me that you should work in channels. And, I almost like get it behind me. It was Mrs. Amori, that's her name, Mrs. Amori. And she told me, Akayode, why are you not working in channels? And I almost like get it behind me, devil. But, she said it and it just stuck. Like, okay, maybe you can work in channels. Please, 1 second. Just a second, please. I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Forgive me. I had to get the door. So, where was I? So yeah.
Yes, you said that Mrs. Amori told you that why can't you work at channels?
She did. So I basically then said, fine, I don't want to be disobedient. I'm gonna I'm gonna work. I'm gonna do it rather. So I came to Lagos to see my brother, and I just printed my CV. I just printed a page of my CV. Very simple CV. I just said, you know what? Let me fulfill all righteousness. And on my way back, I stopped over at Channels TV and I just dropped my CV at the gate. I dropped it with a gate man. And I just said, you know what? I've done it. Nobody should say I didn't try, right? Let me move on with my life. And a few days after, I got a call from HR. He just called me and said, hi, my name is Wally. I work with HR at Channels Television. I would like you to come in. No, would like you to send a video of you doing the news. And then after that, I would like you to come in for an interview. Then after that, December 2017, I started working with Channels. It was too fast. I almost said, you know what, slow down. But yeah, it was just as simple as that. I didn't know anyone. It was just me taking a chance, and it worked.
What does that tell you, ladies and gentlemen? Never say never. Do
Perfect.
not sleep on that opportunity. Anytime you hear something, sometimes we see some big opportunities and we say, it's not for me. We just rule ourselves out even before we get that opportunity. But right here, Kayode is telling us that you should take that chance. Take that chance on yourself. Thank you so much for telling us that. I've got more questions here. I'm trying to look at my YouTube page right now. Okay. Pius Osemudiame Pius says, thank you so much for all you've shared, sir. My question is, how can a growing presenter wanting to build their career get a better opportunity or a big break with renowned media houses?
Okay, how can you get a big break?
Big break, a
So I
growing presenter.
yeah, that's a great question. I don't want you to get fixated on a big break. Um, Yes, me joining channels was a big break, but so was me working with the Beat 97.9 FM. So was me working in the previous radio station, Salt FM. So was me doing the podcast in church. So there's going to be a lot of defining moments. So don't exactly focus on that big break, because when you focus on that big break in quote, you might miss the other big breaks along the way, which will be a setup for the bigger break. Right. So what do you have to do now? What do you have right now? That's your big break. You probably have a social media handle that is wasting away, or you have some content idea. You never know until you try it. So yes, the big break will come. And I've learned how God works with me. He doesn't give me something until I'm ready for it. So I don't want to rush. It's almost when he told the Israelites, I'm not going to give you the promised land all at once. So you don't get overwhelmed and then you start blaming me now. Why did you give us the promised land? So he gave them bit by bit. So your big breakthrough is around you right now. Yes, it may be the big break that you see me in right now or not. But the point is, use what you have right now. Make the most of it. Max it out such that you'll be like, I'm done at this level. I need to move on to another thing. I hope that answers your question. But yeah, also network. Sorry, you should network. Send messages
Network.
out there.
Okay.
Send messages out there. Reach out to people. Go for events. It works. I've met a lot of people that have reached out to me and, we've worked together or I've given advice or something. So yeah, it's actually good to network, understanding boundaries as well. But yeah, network, very important.
And I think on networking, one thing that I've done is if I want to meet someone I'm looking up to, I send a message first, not just calling the person. Send a message first. I would say, is it a good time to call you? Can I call you at so time? Not just calling the person, sometimes out of the blue. The person might be in the studio, the person might be working. So I would like to set a message first and set a time. I think that's it. DEH Media says, watching from Akure, I'm a big fan of Kayode Okikiolu.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And a lot of people are thanking you in the comment section on YouTube.
Thank
Phoebian
you.
says, I'm watching from Lagos State and I'm happy and learning from your story. Okay. Lizzie says, MC Dolly, Kayode, this is amazing. Well said, Kayode. Young journalists have to stay curious and yearn for feedback. She's responding to your earlier comments.
Yeah.
And we have lots of lovely comments. Let me go to questions now. Abigail Brown says, what books do you recommend we read? You were talking about Larry King the other time. So what books do you recommend we read? What shows do you recommend we watch? And what habits should we develop to improve our skills as presenters and newscasters? I think
Okay.
we've mentioned a couple of
Yeah, yeah. So
qualities, but you can expatiate.
yeah, read anything and everything, right? I remember then I'll be in the bathroom and I'm reading the Bible out because I first reading the King James Version of the Bible helps you with the presentation skills because you have to be climbing the hills and coming down with the doeth and the and backeth and stuff. So that was like my own. So read everything and anything. I could just stay online reading history. And it just comes in handy. I remember an interview I had that trended with a former minister then. It was about crude oil. And the data I gave him, or I used to fact check him in that sense, was some data I had read like a week or more before then. And it just came in handy. So I just pulled it out and people thought, man, this guy. Well, it was because I had read it before. So read anything and everything. If you want specific books, you can read books on conversations. There's this book I'm reading now, or I'm listening to on Audible. So I do that. If I can't read, I just listen. The Next Conversation by Jefferson Fisher. So it helps you to be a better listener because as a journalist, you also have to listen. In fact, as a human being, you need to learn the art of listening, right? So you can read books, read autobiographies of people who've been in that industry. Hopefully, mine will come out eventually.
Sorry, can you mention the name of the book again? The Next Conversation
Yeah.
by?
The Next Conversation is by Jefferson Fisher.
Okay, thank you.
You
And
can read
yours
Atomic
is coming
Habits
up.
too. Yeah, eventually. You can read the
Oh,
Atomic Habits too. Just books that would help you with life. James Clear, the popular book bestseller. So, what habits should you imbibe? Well, Atomic Habits should help you with those habits, right? If you read that book, but basically, be a good listener. Be someone who has humans or humanity at heart. Uh, be a good reader as well. So, what do I mean? Don't read in a rush. Like really read if you're a newscaster, that is, really read like embrace the words, don't rush. And I think generally in life, don't be someone who's always in a rush. I think that's something that can also help us, so that way you're a better listener, you're a better speaker, you're a better reader, you're a better person all around. So one, yeah, let me just stop there.
all right. Thank you so much. More questions are coming in, but we have a cut-off time. We're going to end at 8. If you can hear me, I would continue with the questions. Someone said, let me see, Asisa says, as someone who has no media background, how can one enter the broadcasting sector?
Well,
We've
you
got
don't
like
have a
5 questions, so I think we'll just touch on different questions bit by bit so that we can take
okay.
all within the time limit we have.
So if you don't
Right.
have a background in media, right, how do you get in? Is that what the person said?
Yes.
Well, create your own door, really. That I mean, how did the social media influencers become big? They said, you know what, if I can't get on TV, we have a small camera, I have a mobile phone, let's be shooting content, right? If we can't get on Nollywood, let's be shooting skits. So much so that Nollywood is now looking for skit content creators to be on movies. So create your own door. My mom would say, or it said generally that Ojo Orun to a year for that's the sky is big enough. You think that all the content, all the ideas have been created? No, there is still much more. So create your own door in that sense. Just be excellent as well. Learn the foundation, speaking well, and all of that. Then in no time, the industry will come calling.
Okay. And I think Spencer West's question is in that line. She says, what advice would you give aspiring radio and TV personalities looking to build their own audience and brand? Audience and brand, 2 things now. You're a brand already. You have a growing audience. So maybe you should just give us what you're doing to grow your brand.
What am I doing? Well, I'm working hard. Like there's a sense of, oh, I can't take in much more. I can't do extra. My work is intense. Our work is actually intense. You sleep late, you're up early, you're doing a lot of stuff. But my pastor, Pastor Bayadinka, told me that, Kayode, you can do more. And at that point, I'm like, do you want to kill me? I'm already doing more. And that was when I started the Gentleman of the Press thing, because I'm doing more, and then I'm doing other things. There's this big documentary that will be out soon that we worked on. Okay, maybe I should keep you on the wraps. But it's quite big. And it was intense. It was a lot of work, but we're able to do it. A lot of things. I mean, I'm able to anchor events, well, selected events. I'm able to do a lot of other things. So the point is, put in the work, really. You can do much more. So that would be my advice to you. You might not want to hear it, but that is the truth. You can do much more. So put in the work. Put in
Put
the
in
work.
the work. All right. And talking about work, Oluyemi Fedolapo says, you asked us to start volunteering to sharpen our skills. How do you mean? Are there any platforms we can join to volunteer? If yes, kindly name them. This person has put you on the spot.
No, no, it's okay. I love that. So for me, for example, I volunteered in church. I'm a firm believer in looking around. Everybody has something. You might underestimate it, but everybody has. You have a platform. It might be your house. Uh, there's a lady we interviewed recently, Emanuela Owen, the lady who
I
passed
saw
out.
that. I saw that. Phenomenal.
Amazing. Her house is the gym. She has a gym in her house and she uses cement and stuff to to mold the weights, the dumbbells and the rest. Her family was her audience. The video she did that trended was to her family. She just it was recording somebody say the law, somebody say Esquire. That was our audience. She didn't need a big audience. Eventually, the video has gotten millions of views, right? Got her a TV interview, and there's been so much more happening for her. So actually, everybody has something that you can use. Now, when you talk about platforms now, so there's something I'm working on. I've been doing a lot of mentoring of late for young journalists, enthusiasts generally, and hopefully in the coming months, um, I want to create a platform where, should I mention this? Okay, let me just say that, you know what, there are stories around you, right, that need to be told. Okay, I find it funny that sometimes people will reach out to channels and say, there's something happening in my local government that we want you to speak to. And I'm like, it's almost like saying to the federal government or Africa's government in that sense that, I want you to deal with an issue in my local government. When you actually have a local government chairman, you have a state governor before you now get to the president. So there are stories around you that you are missing out on, and you want channels to do everything. I don't know if you get what I mean. People miss stories around them. There's a hospital that is dilapidated here. There's a road that is bad. There's waterworks that is broken. There's just a story to tell. But no, you're not telling those stories. I'm sorry, I'm not indicting anyone, but I'm saying that there's so much stories, but very few storytellers. So be the storyteller. Start telling stories. And be the anchor, be the station, be the reporter, be the cameraman. I'm going to stop there. So it
And
doesn't
that's
sound like.
how people will see you. So
Yeah.
you've seen the opportunities to volunteer, starting from yourself, talking about the person that asked the question. So volunteer, see opportunities online, get on with it, check the opportunities we share on Media Girls platform and jump on such opportunities. I share volunteering opportunities from time to time, and please get on with that. Last question. I do know we more questions are coming, but we need to respect time. Oluwaseun says, can you please tell us some challenges one can face in this field? You've mentioned a couple of challenges, but I want you to take it with this question. Where's the question again? Sorry about that. Oh, the question is gone. Okay, so please, let's just take that question and then we end. What are some of the challenges we can face in this field? And okay, here is a comment. Oh yes, I feel me as you speak. I remember my first day at the Channels Television. Though I could barely reach the front gate of the station, but I knew I'll be back there soon. So that's Phoebe and Olamide. I think she's getting inspired from what you said the other time. So the last question would be, can you please tell us some challenges one can face in this field? And I will add, how can we surmount those challenges?
Challenges. Well, one can be money, finances. It's something we don't talk about a lot, but it's like the elephant in the room, right? I mean, thank God for media house like channels able to pay well, get launch and those stuff. But There are organizations that are struggling, sadly, and it's a function of different things: the economy, management, the structure and strategy and stuff. So money can be a challenge, but money should not be your drive. Money is important, but money should not be your drive. You should be able to say no. And this is maybe a topic for another day, but you should be able to say no. Anything that will compromise you, you should be able to say no. But you should always also be able to find streams of income for yourself. It's something that I want to I don't want to tell every journalist in Nigeria. You need to be able to find streams of income. You can do more. Okay. Journalism sometimes gives you more than just money. It gives you a platform. It gives you the ability to think fast. It just gives you information too. So you have to bring together those things and find a way to use that for sustainability in that sense, so that money is not your problem. Because once money is the challenge, it's going to mess up the work. The other thing is fear. There's a lot of times you're scared, you're nervous and stuff. So I wrote here that when you are afraid, maybe you want to go on air and you're afraid, you want to go for an interview, you're scared, like, hey, I want to interview the Senate president or the president. Hey, I don't want to disgrace my my village and stuff. But obviously you should have prepared. But when you're afraid, actually, let me explain what fear is. It means that your heart is pumping fast and you have a lot of energy to deliver. Your brain might be telling you it's fear, but it's actually your body telling you, I am ready for fight or for flight. It's a psychology term. You are either going to fight or you're going to run. So you choose to fight, choose to give it a show, put all of that energy and deliver a show. So when your heart is pumping fast and stuff, it's just your body saying, I'm ready. So you don't choose to run, don't choose to cower, choose to fight and deliver well. All right. So just take all of that fear in quotes or that energy and pour it into delivering. All right. So that's something you can face as well. Final thing is as ladies, there'll be a lot of attention on you naturally. And yeah, this is not my terrain, but I've been in this industry to know what can go down because you're in the eye of everybody. You're, star girl, and everybody wants to have a piece in that sense. But you need to have a strong mind. You need to have an anchor in that sense, and also you need to carry yourself well. Know what you are worth. I'm going to stop there because of time. I don't want to take too much of time, but know that you won't go far in this industry if you try to suck up to people or try to get things based on. I'm going to stop there.
I like how you're saying so much without saying so much.
Yeah.
I think media girls, you've heard that you need to have the value, you need to have a content and not suck up to people by trying some other means to get, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be used and dumped. You don't want to, you want to continue to have that value. I'm going to beg for a chance. Someone could not drop a message on the YouTube channel, so she had to drop it on the group. And this is like a personal question. Her name is Tony. She says, I'm currently my second year at the University of Lagos studying mass communication. I'm very big on interning at TVC during my IT. What steps do you suggest I take to actually be able to get an internship opportunity in TVC? And what do you suggest I do to meet up with the excellent standard and also be able to make great and remarkable contributions during my internship?
Okay. First,
She's
go ahead.
basically asking how she can position herself to get an opportunity to intern.
So yeah, approach wherever you want to go, submit your application. But let me tell you the truth. Sometimes now, what they look out for is they go to your LinkedIn page or your Instagram or Facebook and see how much traction do you have already? Are you doing what you want to come and do here? Forget that you're in 200 level, right? Forget that you're in 200 level. You should have a CV. So you're doing what you want to do there eventually. So yes, submit your CV, apply and all of that. But what if you don't get in, right? What if you don't get in? So make sure that you're using what you have to get what you want. In that sense, you have a platform, you have a TV station. I want you to begin to see that your 2 followers, social media, sorry, 200 followers, 2,000 followers. It's a TV station. You know what it means to have 200 views or 200,000 or 2,000 views or 2,000 subscribers. That's what you have right there. So begin to use that first. Apply. Yes, keep applying. It's very competitive, I must tell you. It's a very competitive field, but don't let that deter you. Go to places. All the jobs I've done, I basically just, when I worked on BTFM, I just approached them and said, you know what? I hope I wasn't very cocky then, but I told him, I understand you need, an OAP, a newscaster, and I'd like to work with you. I've worked with Salt FM. Just package yourself well. And the next week, I went for an interview and I was working there. So yes, absolutely show up in those spaces, but you need to have things to show for what you have done. Right.
You're not too small to start showing your work. So in 200 level, please get on board so that people will see what you've done. I remember one radio show I did years back, and it was just one particular radio show that got me an opportunity to become an anchor for a separate independent production, just one radio show. The person said they just listened to how I presented that show, and it looked like I'd done research. It was just a few minutes of research I did on that particular show. And then they were convinced that I could run their 13-week, 26-week episode for an independent show. Please do your work well. That's what I'll tell media girls tonight. I'm super excited that Kayode Okikiolu honored this invitation. The gentleman of the press gave us valuable time. This is what we can pay for if we're to get Kayode on a different platform. But I'm saying thank you so much. People are saying thank you on YouTube. I'm getting more messages. Luciliu says, this is an interesting conversation with Sir K. I feel like being prolonged more than ever. The person wants to stay more on this platform. Don't worry. We can invite him. Oh, my video is gone. We can invite him again, and I'm sure it will oblige our request. Spencer West says, how do I get to join the Media Girls WhatsApp platform? Please send a message right now to 0803 838 0173, or you can send a message right here. We'll get your details. So, Kayode Okikiolu, your final words on the show or on the webinar. Let's get to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much. I think I'm grateful for this experience. I've also learned from this experience myself. I just want to say that you're enough. It sounds cliche, but you're enough. There's going to be a lot of learning on the way, a lot of hard work, but just decide that I want to be excellent. I want to be the very best. And believe me, it actually works. So go out there and do great stuff. Look forward to seeing you at the top, as they say, because there are lots of stories out there waiting to be told.
Gracias mucho. Let's go Spanish tonight. And thank you all for being part of tonight's conversation. We can't wait to do this again in May, where we'll bring another guest on the show. Thank you to our guest tonight, Kayode Okikiolu, aka the gentleman of the press, and like I fondly call him, Sir K. Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining. And remember, you are made of more. That's what we say at Media Girls Nigeria. God bless you. I remain Oludolapo Adewale. If you'd like to follow Media Girls Nigeria, if you're a young person in the media space, you're yearning to learn more, you're yearning to become a better version of yourself, we're here to help you. Send a message to 08038380173 or go to Instagram and send a message to the DM at Media Girls Nigeria. God bless you. Like our guest tonight said, Kayode, he said, find your anchor. What is your anchor tonight? I'm picking that from him. Good night, everyone. Bye.